When we gaze out at the vast, shimmering expanse of the ocean, we often imagine the solitary figure of a great whale gliding silently through the deep. But these magnificent creatures are rarely alone. They are profoundly social animals, and the words we use to describe their groups offer a small window into their complex lives. The most familiar term, and perhaps the most fitting for many species, is a pod. This simple, evocative word brings to mind a close-knit family unit, a group bound by more than just proximity. It suggests cooperation, communication, and a shared existence, which is precisely what we observe in many of the ocean's most intelligent inhabitants. The term pod is most often associated with toothed whales, such as dolphins, and, most famously, orcas. For these animals, the pod is the very center of their universe. It is a multi-generational family, often led by an elder female, where knowledge and traditions are passed down through the ages. However, the language of the sea is as rich and varied as the life within it. Sailors from centuries past, who spent their lives observing these animals from the decks of their ships, had their own term, a gam. This old nautical word describes a social gathering of whales, a friendly meeting in the open ocean, which is a wonderfully poetic way to picture it. In more recent times, another word has entered the lexicon, a herd. This term is often used to describe the larger, more loosely associated groups of the great baleen whales, like the humpbacks or fin whales. While these giants might not form the lifelong family bonds seen in orca pods, they certainly gather in impressive numbers. A herd of whales suggests a great migration, a colossal assembly moving together across entire oceans. The choice of word, pod, gam, or herd, is not merely a matter of semantics. It reflects the different ways these diverse species navigate their social worlds and interact with one another. Ultimately, the name we give to a group of whales helps us frame our understanding of their behavior. It distinguishes the tight, familial structures of orcas from the more transient gatherings of larger whales. It reminds us that we are not just observing a random collection of animals, but a society with its own rules, relationships, and reasons for being together. Each term carries a slightly different weight, a different shade of meaning, helping us to appreciate the subtle yet profound differences in the social lives of these giants of the sea, which we are only just beginning to truly comprehend. To truly appreciate the social world of a whale, we must look closely at the orca, a creature of remarkable intelligence and social complexity. An orca pod is not just a group, it is a family in the truest sense of the word. At its heart is the matriarch, the oldest and most experienced female. She is the keeper of the pod's collective memory, guiding her children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren through the challenges of life in the ocean. This matriarchal structure ensures that crucial survival knowledge, such as where to find food during different seasons or how to navigate treacherous waters, is preserved and passed down through generations. The bonds within these pods are incredibly strong, often lasting for an individual's entire lifetime. A male orca, for instance, will typically remain with his mother's pod for his whole life. He may mate with females from other pods, but his primary allegiance is to his family. This level of social cohesion is rare in the animal kingdom. It is built on a foundation of constant communication, using a sophisticated language of clicks, whistles, and pulsed calls. Each pod even has its own distinct dialect, a unique acoustic signature that identifies them and separates them from other family groups, much like a human family's accent or surname. This intricate social structure extends beyond the immediate family pod. Several related pods that share a common maternal ancestor and speak similar dialects form what scientists call a clan. It is a bit like an extended family reunion, where different branches of the family tree come together. These clans, in turn, can be part of an even larger grouping known as a community. A community is formed of clans that may not be related and do not share dialects, but they regularly associate with one another and may even interbreed. This layered, nested society is a testament to the orca's incredible capacity for social organization. Observing these relationships reveals a world of profound emotional depth. We see orcas grieving for lost calves, cooperating in the most intricate hunting strategies, and engaging in playful behavior that seems to serve no purpose other than pure enjoyment and social bonding. They will share food, protect the weak and the young, and travel together in perfect synchrony. The orca pod is a self-contained culture, a floating society where every individual has a role and every relationship matters. It is a powerful reminder that kinship and community are not exclusively human concepts. The ocean is a place of immense opportunity, but it is also fraught with danger. For whales, living in a group is a powerful strategy for survival, a solution to many of the fundamental challenges of life. One of the most important benefits is safety in numbers. A lone whale, especially a young or vulnerable one, is a potential target for predators like large sharks or, in some cases, other groups of orcas. By staying together, a pod can present a formidable, united front. The adults can encircle the young, using their immense size and strength to ward off any potential threat, creating a protective fortress in the open water. Cooperation is another key reason for their social nature, particularly when it comes to finding food. Hunting is a complex business, and many hands, or in this case fins, make for lighter work. Orcapods have developed some of the most sophisticated cooperative hunting techniques in the animal kingdom. Some pods will work together to herd salmon into a tight ball, making them easier to catch. Others have perfected the art of wave washing, where they swim in formation to create a powerful wave that washes a seal off an ice floe. These strategies are learned and taught within the pod, requiring precise communication and teamwork. Beyond safety and sustenance, group living is essential for raising the next generation. A calf is born into a supportive network of mothers, aunts, and cousins who all play a part in its upbringing. This cooperative parenting, known as alloparenting, is vital. While a mother is diving for food, another female in the pod might babysit the calf at the surface. This shared responsibility not only gives the mother a much-needed break, but also allows the young to learn from multiple experienced adults. It truly takes a village, or a pod, to raise a whale calf, ensuring it has the best possible start in life. Finally, the social group is the primary stage for communication and learning. Whales are incredibly vocal creatures, and their calls can travel for hundreds of miles through the water. These sounds are not just random noises, they convey complex information about identity, location, threats, and opportunities. For baleen whales, gathering in specific breeding or feeding grounds allows them to find mates and socialize. For orcas, the pod is a permanent school where social customs, dialects, and unique traditions are passed on. Living together allows them to build a shared culture, the very essence of their identity. At first glance, a group of whales moving through the water might seem similar to a school of fish. Both are collections of aquatic animals traveling together, a shimmering mass of life in the blue. However, the similarities are only skin deep. The fundamental difference lies in the very nature of the group and the reasons for its existence. A school of fish is primarily a defensive mechanism, a mesmerizing display of coordinated movement designed to confuse predators. In a school, there is often no leader and no lasting social bonds. Each individual is simply reacting to the movements of its immediate neighbors. A whale pod, on the other hand, is a true social unit. It is defined by complex relationships, individual recognition, and a clear, social structure. Unlike fish in a school, which are often interchangeable, every member of a whale pod has a distinct identity and role. The group is not just an anonymous mass but a collection of known individuals, mothers, sons, cousins, and leaders. Their movements are not merely instinctual reactions but coordinated actions based on communication and a shared purpose. They decide as a group where to go, when to hunt, and when to rest, guided by the wisdom of their most experienced members. The purpose of these gatherings also differs significantly. While a school of fish exists almost entirely for protection and, to some extent, hydrodynamic efficiency, a whale pod serves a much broader range of functions. It is a center for nurturing the young, a school for passing on cultural knowledge, and a team for executing complex, collaborative tasks. The intricate hunts of orcas, or the bubble net feeding of humpbacks, are behaviors that require a level of intelligence and cooperation far beyond the capabilities of a school of fish. These are not just mindless aggregations, but thinking, feeling societies. This distinction is crucial for understanding the consciousness of these animals. A fish in a school is part of a collective, but it acts largely on instinct. A whale in a pod is an individual participating in a culture. It learns, it teaches, it remembers, and it forms deep, enduring emotional attachments to its companions. The loss of a single member can have a profound impact on the entire pod, something that would be unheard of in a school of fish numbering in the thousands. The whale pod represents a higher order of social existence, one that shares more in common with a wolf pack or a primate troop than it does with a school of fish. The size of a whale pod can vary dramatically, reflecting the species, its environment, and its specific social structure. For the tightly knit resident orcas of the Pacific Northwest, a pod typically consists of a few to around 30 individuals, all related through a single, female, ancestor. These groups are stable, lifelong family units. Other types of orcas, known as transients or big killer whales, often travel in smaller groups, usually fewer than 10, which is a size perfectly suited to their stealthy hunting style for marine mammal prey. The size of the pod is finely tuned to its way of life, a delicate balance between the benefits of cooperation and the need to find enough food for everyone. For the great baleen whales, such as humpbacks, blue whales, and fin whales, the social scene is far more fluid. These giants are often thought of as solitary wanderers, and for much of the year, that can be true. They may travel alone, or in small, temporary groups, of 2 or 3. A mother and her calf are the most common and enduring pairing. However, these seemingly lonely lives are punctuated by grand social events. During their annual migrations to warm breeding grounds, or when they gather in rich feeding areas, these whales can form much larger, though temporary, herds. Under very special circumstances, these gatherings can reach a truly epic scale, forming what has been dubbed a superpod. This is, honestly, one of the most spectacular sights in the natural world. A superpod is a massive, temporary aggregation of whales or dolphins that can number in the hundreds or even thousands. Imagine the ocean's surface as far as the eye can see, alive with the movement of countless animals, all traveling or feeding together. These events are often driven by an extraordinary abundance of food, such as a massive bloom of krill or a huge school of fish, which draws in animals from miles around. These superpods are not the socially complex permanent families of orcas. They are more like a bustling festival or a temporary city, a short-lived convergence for a common purpose. Yet, they are a vital part of the whales' lives, offering opportunities for socializing, finding mates, and feeding with unparalleled efficiency. Witnessing a superpod reminds us of the sheer abundance of life the oceans can support when conditions are right. It is a powerful and humbling spectacle, a glimpse into the lives of these giants on a scale that is almost impossible to imagine. Since the year 2020, a strange and fascinating story has been unfolding in the waters off the coasts of Spain and Portugal. A specific population of Iberian orcas, numbering around 40 individuals, has begun interacting with boats in a most unusual, and sometimes destructive way. These encounters, which many have labeled attacks, typically involve the orcas, particularly the younger ones, approaching sailing yachts, ramming their hulls, and biting or snapping off their rudders. This behavior has been concentrated in the Strait of Gibraltar, a busy shipping lane, and has resulted in damage to dozens of vessels and in a few cases, has even caused boats to sink. One such event occurred in May of 2024, when the sailing yacht, Iberian Cognac, was making its way through the strait. Suddenly, the crew felt sharp, repeated blows against the hull. The orcas were ramming the boat with force, and soon, water began to pour in. The crew sent out a distress call and were thankfully rescued, but they could only watch as their vessel succumbed to the damage and slipped beneath the waves. This was not an isolated incident, but part of a consistent pattern of behavior that has left sailors unnerved and scientists perplexed, a pattern that seems to be spreading and starting earlier each year. The group of orcas responsible for these interactions is a small, genetically distinct, and critically endangered subpopulation. They are known to specialize in hunting bluefin tuna, often following fishing boats to catch the fish that escape the lines. The interactions with sailing boats, however, are a new and very different behavior. It appears to be focused primarily on medium-sized sailing yachts, while larger commercial ships and smaller fishing boats are generally ignored. The orcas seem intensely interested in the boat's rudder, pushing, twisting, and often breaking it before losing interest and swimming away. Authorities in Spain and Portugal have been forced to issue warnings to mariners, advising them to avoid the area if possible or to stick to shallow coastal waters where the orcas are less likely to venture. They recommend that if an interaction does occur, sailors should not stop the vessel, but should head for shore as quickly as is safe. This ongoing saga presents a mesmerizing and concerning puzzle. It is a direct and sustained interaction between wild, intelligent animals and humans, and it forces us to ask a difficult question. What are these magnificent creatures trying to tell us? The question on every expert's mind is a simple one. Why? Why are these Iberian orcas suddenly targeting sailing boats with such focus and determination? There is no single, easy answer, but scientists have proposed several compelling theories. One of the leading hypotheses is that the behavior is a response to a traumatic event. The theory suggests that a single influential orca, a matriarch nicknamed White Gladys, may have had a negative encounter with a boat in the past. Perhaps a collision or an entanglement with fishing gear. Her aggressive reaction could have been a defensive response that was then observed, learned, and copied by other younger members of her pod. Another possibility is that this is not aggression at all, but a form of play or social learning that has simply gotten out of hand. Orcas are incredibly intelligent and curious animals, and they are known to engage in fads, behaviors that become popular within a group for a time, and then fade away. In the past, one pod of orcas in the Pacific gained notoriety for a short-lived trend of carrying dead salmon on their heads like hats. It is possible that bumping and manipulating boat rudders is a new, exciting game for the young, inquisitive orcas of the Iberian population. The rudder, as a moving part, might just be an irresistible toy. A third, more troubling explanation points to broader environmental pressures. The Strait of Gibraltar is one of the busiest waterways in the world, with constant noise from shipping traffic. The orca's primary food source, the Atlantic bluefin tuna, has been historically overfished. It is possible that this behavior is an expression of stress or frustration. The increased boat traffic, noise pollution, and competition for food may be pushing these animals to a breaking point. The attacks might be a symptom of a much larger problem, a cry for help from an ecosystem and a population under immense strain. Ultimately, it could be a combination of all these factors. Perhaps a traumatic event involving White Gladys triggered a behavior that, being novel and stimulating, was adopted by younger orcas as a form of play. This playful fad might then be amplified by the underlying stress these animals face every day in their increasingly crowded and noisy environment. Without the ability to ask the orcas directly, scientists must piece together the clues from their behavior, their environment, and their social dynamics. The answer likely lies somewhere in the complex intersection of trauma, culture, and a changing ocean. The news of orcas sinking yachts has captured the public's imagination, sparking a wide range of reactions that are almost as fascinating as the behavior itself. On social media, a surprising and powerful sentiment has emerged. Many people are siding with the whales. Under hashtags like Team Orca or Orca Uprising, users have posted countless jokes, memes, and comments cheering the animals on. The narrative is often framed as a form of natural justice, portraying the orcas as eco-warriors fighting back against the yachts of the wealthy, a symbol of human excess and environmental disregard. This humorous take has turned the Iberian pod into unlikely internet folk heroes. This amusement, however, is not shared by everyone. For the sailors who have experienced these encounters firsthand, it is a terrifying and dangerous ordeal. They describe the immense power of the animals, the sickening crunch of the hull, and the feeling of complete helplessness as their vessel is disabled miles from shore. Their primary concern is safety, and there is a growing fear within the boating community. Some worry that if the behavior continues or escalates, it could lead to tragic consequences for humans. This perspective highlights the very real conflict that arises when the worlds of wildlife and human activity collide so forcefully. Conservationists and marine biologists watch this unfolding drama with a deep sense of unease. While they understand the public's fascination, they worry about the potential fallout for the orcas themselves. The term attack is loaded, and they fear it could paint the orcas as malicious villains. This small Iberian population is already critically endangered, and a negative public perception could undermine decades of conservation work. There is a real danger that fear could lead to calls for culling or using harmful deterrents against the animals, which would be a devastating blow for a population already on the brink. Experts like Monica Whelan-Shields of the Orca Behavior Institute urge the public to look beyond the memes and consider the deeper implications. They suggest that instead of simply cheering for Team Orca, we should ask what is driving this behavior. If it is indeed a response to environmental stress, then the orcas are not villains or heroes. They are messengers. Their actions may be a visible symptom of a sick ocean, The public's fascination, they argue, should be channeled into a greater awareness of the threats these animals face, from overfishing and pollution to the constant roar of marine traffic. Understanding the intricate social lives of whales is not merely an academic exercise, it is fundamental to their survival. For decades, conservation efforts focused on simply counting animals, treating populations as numbers on a spreadsheet. But we now know that a whale population is far more than a collection of individuals. It is a complex society, a culture built on family bonds, shared knowledge, and communication. To protect whales, we must protect their societies. When we understand that an orcapod is a multi-generational family, with its own unique dialect and traditions, we realize that losing that pod is not just a loss of numbers, but the extinction of an entire culture. This social knowledge is directly relevant to how we manage conservation. For instance, knowing that humpback whales learn their migration routes from their mothers means that protecting mothers and calves along these specific corridors is paramount. Understanding the crucial role of matriarchs in orcapods tells us that the death of one older female can have catastrophic consequences for the survival of her entire family, as decades of ecological knowledge vanish with her. Conservation must therefore be nuanced, protecting not just animals, but the relationships and knowledge that bind them together into a resilient, functioning society. The recent events with the Iberian orcas serve as a powerful and urgent reminder of this. By studying their social structure, we can trace how a new behavior, whether it is play, protest, or something else entirely, can spread through a population. It highlights how connected they are and how quickly their culture can adapt. If their actions are indeed a response to environmental pressures, then their social nature is what allows them to communicate this stress through a collective behavior. They are not just individual animals reacting to a problem, they are a society responding to a crisis, and we must learn to listen. In the end, the names we use, pod, herd, gam, are more than just labels. They are a recognition of a life lived together. The study of these magnificent social animals fills us with wonder, but it also carries a profound responsibility. As we continue to encroach upon their world with our ships, our nets, and our noise, we are not just disturbing individual animals, we are disrupting ancient families and threatening entire cultures. By striving to understand the rich tapestry of their social lives, we gain the wisdom needed to share this planet with them, ensuring that the songs of the whales do not fall silent.